Hello, good evening. My name is Dr. Deepika. I'm a psychologist, and I want to thank BabyChakra and Phillips Avent for this opportunity and for this platform to have a very candid and a relaxed conversation with all of you here in talking about some relevant aspects in terms of how our life has been affected by the pandemic. आई एम श्योर हम कोविड का नाम सुन सुन के सब थक गए हैं और कोविड की वजह से हमारी लाइफ में जो चैलेंजेस और चेंजेस आए हैं उससे डील करते करते भी हम कहीं ना कहीं थोड़े स्ट्रोंगर बन गए हैं और कहीं ना कहीं थोड़े थक भी गए हैं और इसलिए इस तरह की कंटिन्यूस कॉन्वर्सेशंस एक दूसरे के एक्सपीरियंस से सीखना आगे बढ़ना बहुत ज़रूरी है और आज हम एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक के बारे में बात करेंगे जो हम सबकी लाइफ में इक्वली अफेक्ट कर रहा है, चाहे हम वर्किंग हैं, चाहे नॉन वर्किंग हैं, चाहे यंग मदर्स हैं, चाहे एक्सपीरियंस्ड ओल्डर मदर्स हैं। सो वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस जैसी बातें या घर से काम करना विदाउट लूजिंग योर माइंड बहुत रियल हो गया है आजकल। सो इस तरह की कुछ बातों के बारे में आज हम चर्चा करेंगे और मैं अपने अनुभव से अपने एक्सपीरियंस जो अपनी लाइफ में एज वेल एज जो बाकी लोगों के साथ जिनके साथ मैं काम करती हूँ, काउंसलिंग करती हूँ, उनके बारे में जो जो मेरी लर्निंग्स हैं वो मैं आज शेयर करना चाहूँगी। अगर आप मेरे काम के बारे में या मुझे ढूँढना चाहते हैं तो आप मुझे फॉलो कर सकते हैं इंस्टाग्राम पे मेरे नाम से दीपिका गुप्ता, या आप मुझे इंटरनेट पे भी ढूँढ सकते हैं और मैं दिल्ली में काम करती हूँ। जननी वेलनेस स्टूडियो के साथ भी काम करती हूँ, जहाँ पे हम मदर्स की स्पेशली वेलबीइंग का ज़्यादा ख़्याल रखते हैं। तो अगर आपको या आपके परिवार में किसी को उससे रिलेटेड कोई परेशानियाँ हैं या कुछ ज़्यादा जानना चाहते हैं, नए स्किल्स डेवलप करना चाहते हैं, तो फील फ्री टू रीच अस एंड वीड बी मोर देन हैप्पी टू हेल्प यू and work through with these very real life challenges that we have as young working mothers. So thank you so much and welcome again to the session today. जब हम हैंडलिंग वर्क एंड फैमिली की बात करते हैं तो ऑफन एक वर्ड हमारे माइंड में आता है जिसे हम कहते हैं बैलेंस. And we expect that usually there should be an equal balance, 50% work, 50% family life. But often, rather almost always, this balance isn't possible, because life इतनी straight नहीं होती कि 50% टाइम मैं यहाँ दे सकती हूँ और 50% टाइम वहाँ दे सकती हूँ. Often life एक साथ चलती है, it's so simultaneous. And that is what has, I think, become even more significant in this pandemic, where women especially have started doing a lot of multitasking as well as a lot of simultaneous tasking. तो मल्टीटास्किंग तो हम पहले भी करते थे, लेकिन अब जो ये साइमल्टेनियस टास्किंग शुरू हो गई है, इसका मतलब है हम जहाँ लैपटॉप खोल के ऑफिस का काम कर रहे हैं, साइमल्टेनियसली हम घर भी देख रहे हैं, बच्चे भी देख रहे हैं, डिसीजंस भी बना रहे हैं, बोथ एट अ फैमिली लेवल एज वेल एज एट अ वर्क लेवल. और इसकी वजह से बहुत लीडिंग एक्सपर्ट
ने कहा है कि जैसे ये कोविड एक पब्लिक हेल्थ क्राइसिस है, वैसे ही ये कोविड एक मेंटल हेल्थ क्राइसिस भी है. और अपने आप को इस मेंटल हेल्थ क्राइसिस से बचाए रखने के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम कुछ एक्टिव स्ट्रैटेजीज आइडेंटिफाई करें, अपने लिए थोड़ा सा टाइम निकालें और अपनी लाइफ को, अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज और कमिटमेंट्स को बेहतर समझने की कोशिश करें, जैसे कि हम कुछ अच्छे सॉल्यूशंस ढूंढ सकते हैं जो हमारे लिए एप्लीकेबल हो. तो सबसे पहले शुरू करते हैं इस वर्ड वर्क फ्रॉम होम को थोड़ा बेहतर समझने के लिए. पहले भी काफ़ी साल पहले भी बहुत सारी कंपनीज, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कंपनीज एक ऑप्शन देती थी लोगों को, विच वाज वर्क फ्रॉम होम. दैट मीन्स कि हफ्ते में एक बार या महीने में एक बार, जब कोई परेशानी है या घर में आपकी ज़रूरत है किसी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के लिए, या आपका ट्रैवल टाइम बहुत दूर है टू योर वर्क प्लेस, एक वर्क फ्रॉम होम का ऑप्शन दिया जाता था. उसे ऑफन एक लग्जरी की तरह भी कहा जाता था, दैट हमारी कंपनी कितनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है कि हमें वर्क फ्रॉम होम का ऑप्शन दिया जाता है। बट जब से ये कोविड पैंडेमिक स्ट्राइक हुआ है अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड, वर्क फ्रॉम होम हैज बिकम अनदर बिजनेस मॉडल, इट हैज बिकम अनदर नेसेसिटी, दैट बिना इसके बिजनेस नहीं चल सकता, एंड ना ही बिना इसके घर चल सकता है, और हम अपनी जो इम्पोर्टेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हैं वो एड्रेस भी नहीं कर सकते। तो हमें ये बात समझनी बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जो चीज़ें हम घर की बातें छोड़कर ऑफिस जाकर एक फ्रेश माइंड से काम कर सकते थे, अब हमें घर में ही एक छोटा-सा ऑफिस एस्टैब्लिश करने की ज़रूरत बन चुकी है। ये करते-करते हमें 6 से 9 महीने लग चुके हैं, लेकिन अभी भी वो चैलेंजेस रेलेवेंट हैं, अभी भी वो वैलिड हैं, क्योंकि बहुत सारी परेशानियाँ आती हैं। मैं भी वर्क फ्रॉम होम करती हूँ, और मेरी परेशानियाँ भी काफ़ी सिमिलर होंगी आप जैसी परेशानियों में। जैसे कि जब एक मीटिंग शुरू हो रही होती है, एकदम उससे पहले इंटरनेट नहीं आना। आई एम ग्लैड आज इंटरनेट चल रहा है, एंड हमें इतनी डिफ़िकल्टी नहीं हो रही, सो फार सो गुड। But that's the first thing, that थोड़ी लॉजिस्टिकल प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं, स्पेशली अगर घर में इतने सारे इंडिपेंडेंट रूम्स ना हो, सब लोग वर्क फ्रॉम होम कर रहे हैं, तो कौन कौन से रूम में बैठेगा, किसकी आवाज तेज है, किसकी आवाज कम है, ऐसे बहुत बेसिक लॉजिस्टिक इश्यूज आते हैं। थोड़े से और इश्यूज आते हैं कि जो एक टेम्पो रहता है काम करने का, व्हेन वी गो टू ऑफिस, व्हेन वी आर विद आवर कॉलीग्स, व्हेन वी सिट टुगेदर इन अ कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम ओवर अ कप ऑफ कॉफी, एंड you're in a different zone of productivity, and you think more ahead in terms of visions and performance. And when you're at home, to be able to bring in that same essence, that same idea gets quite reduced, and to bring in that self generated motivation within your home again becomes very difficult. तो एक ये बहुत common crisis आ जाता है in being able to work from home, so to say. एंड बाकी थोड़ी चीज़ें हैं जो आपका पर्सनल साइकोलॉजिकल इम्पैक्ट जिन चीज़ों का आता है। एक है कि हम एक क्रिटिकल लाइफ में ऑलरेडी जी रहे हैं, इतना क्राइसिस चल रहा है बाहर, एज़ वेल एज़ जो हमें बर्नआउट हो जाता है बिकॉज़ ऑफ आवर वर्क, and because there's so many things to be taken care of. And at a very simple level, something else that is happening is a decision making fatigue, which means that हम छोटी छोटी चीजों के लिए बहुत सोचना पड़ता है। बाहर जाएं या ना जाएं, अगर सब्जी खरीदने जाना है तो क्या क्या प्रिकॉशंस लेने हैं, अगर एक ऑफिस मीटिंग के लिए जाना है तो क्या क्या प्रिकॉशंस लेने हैं, क्या डिफरेंट स्टेप्स लेने हैं, जब हम बाहर जाएंगे तो घर में कैसे मैनेज करेंगे, सो इतनी छोटी छोटी चीजें इतनी बड़ी बन गई हैं, which also starts impacting us so much. So these are some of the common challenges that most of us are experiencing while working from home. And in addition to this, of course, the challenge of balancing work and family life is there. It is always pronounced for women, because somewhere people expect women to be multitaskers, to be super women, and somewhere unfortunately we also believe that we should be super women, that we should be able to do everything all the time perfectly. एंड उसकी वजह से भी हम अपने ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा प्रेशर ले लेते हैं। तो हम आज इस तरह की कुछ बातें मैं आपसे डिस्कस करूँगी, कुछ सॉल्यूशंस बताऊँगी, और अगर इसके बीच में आपके पास अपने क्वेश्चंस होंगे तो मैं साइड बाय साइड उन क्वेश्चंस को भी आंसर करती रहूँगी। सो आई एम गेटिंग द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन बाय मिष्टी। थैंक्स फॉर योर क्वेश्चन मिष्टी। आपका क्वेश्चन है, हाउ टू गेट ओवर द गिल्ट ट्रिप ऑफ नॉट स्पेंडिंग टाइम विद योर बेबी। It's a very real question, Mishti, and I think I'm guessing that you have a very small child, and hence that sense of protection, that sense of joy, that sense of wanting to spend a lot of time with your children is of course very high. एंड बट इसके बीच में जो हमने वर्ड यूज किया है गिल्ट ट्रिप, उस गिल्ट को अंडरस्टैंड करना बहुत जरूरी है। अगर हम सोशली इस बात को सोचते हैं दैट मदर्स को इतना गिल्ट दिया जाता है, because it's always understood that you can do anything else in life, but your primary role and the most important role is of caregiving as a mother to your child. And when you try to do anything other than that, which could either be going to work, it could be taking rest, it could be going to meet your friends, it could be doing some personal education or something else that you're doing, you are made to feel that you are choosing a less important option, and hence you should be guilty about it. So I would suggest that you begin by understanding that is that guilt your own, or is that guilt coming from the expectations of others? The second thing that, what you should do is look at that, is it that you're missing, spending time with your child, or missing doing some activities, or being part of some developmental journey of your child? Or is it that you just feel that, you should be there 24/7, 100% with the child? So having those kind of realistic expectations from yourself about how much, you can do, and can you actually be in two places at the same time or not, is important. And in addition, try and identify which are those things which are very important for you, that you would like to spend, doing with your baby. And if you're able to do those, then appreciate yourself rather than give yourself more pressure by feeling further guilty that I'm not doing as good as probably, another mother that you know. Try doing a couple of these strategies and see that, you're able to reduce the pressure to be a particular kind of mother, and rather you start enjoying the kind of relationship you're evolving, with your child. I hope that answers. The second question is from Marisha, and she's asking that too much sitting at one's desk computer job affects our health and baby posture. um, I'm guessing that you're probably expecting right now, and that's why you're asking about the baby posture. I'm not sure, or is it your body posture? But of course, if it is your body posture, then yes, it's very true, and that is why it's very important to set up your home workstation as ergonomically as possible. Ergonomically का मतलब होता है कि हम उस तरह का एक posture position maintain करके रखें, where our neck, our shoulders, our back, as well as our wrist when we're using a computer mouse, should be adequately supported, that the entire body, is in one rhythm and is in one correct posture, where we do not cause any repetitive stress injury to any one part of our body. And hence, I'm sure there's a lot of information that's available online on, how you can, arrange your desk. So typically, people like to put some books, under their laptop to increase its height so that it's at the level of your eye, and you don't have to look up or, down like this, which will also affect your neck. So make those little tweaks around yourself. There are also a lot of very interesting office sounds music, which are available on YouTube. And sometimes, when I'm also working, I try to look at some of these, ambient sounds and, office sounds, which help me concentrate. एक feel आती है that आप अकेले नहीं बैठे हो एक कमरे में, but there is some, buzz that's happening around, or there could be these musics or sounds which also help you focus, better. So a lot of this stress, that we feel in our body posture sometimes is also because of the stress that we take in our mind. And हम सबके लिए वो जो mental stress है body के अलग अलग हिस्सों में जाके जम जाता है. So some people, have that queasy stomach. Some people have that chronic lower backache. Some get headaches, some get eye strain, some get neck aches. So, sometimes it's of course about your posture, and sometimes it's also about the mental stress that you're taking, which starts affecting your body. So taking quick desk stretches, taking, at least a break every 1 hour. WHO recommends that you walk at least 250 steps every hour. 250 स्टेप्स का मतलब है बेसिकली अबाउट 2 मिनट्स का स्ट्रोल. तो आप काम करें, एक अलार्म लगाएं अपने फोन पे, और 2 मिनट टहलकर वापस अपने डेस्क पे बैठ जाएं. डू सम जेंटल स्ट्रेचेस एंड सी that will probably help you as well. The next question is from Vijay. मैम मेरी बेटी को 1 ईयर होने को है, अभी तक उसके एक भी दांत नहीं आए हैं, कोई चिंता की बात नहीं है. Vijay, congratulations on reaching this milestone for your child. I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a psychologist, so I may not be able to comment on the developmental milestones for your child. I would recommend you get in touch with your pediatrician, or unse aap check kar lijiye if your daughter is meeting all her developmental milestones and what you can do. It's also lovely that because of the pandemic, men and women both can now be very hands-on involved in child rearing. So thank you, Vijay, for being a great father. Lakshmi Mishra is asking, being a working mom is hard and the pandemic has made it even worse. How to deal with it? Yes, Lakshmi, you're very, very correct. And the experience that you're sharing is probably the experience of all working mothers out there. It's of course very hard because your level of responsibilities keep going up, but your support systems stay more or less the same. And because of the pandemic, the support systems have reduced further, where a lot of things we could rely on, like daycares or family support or domestic help support, all that has come down. And while there is no one size fits all kind of a solution that I can give you, where I'd say that this is that magic wand which will make it work, there are a couple of things that you can do which will help you in being able to handle your work life better while you're handling other responsibilities. But the first is beginning with that mindset that I can't do everything, and I need to choose my battles. And because I'm choosing not to do everything does not make me a bad mother or a lesser person or an incompetent individual. The most important thing is to let go of that mindset which tells us that jab tak aap thak kar पूरी तरह से stretched होकर stress में रहकर अपना दिन नहीं काट रहे हो, तब तक it's not enough. We've seen our mothers and our grandmothers give everything of theirs in raising a family, and we also see that in their progressive older years they also have a lot of health issues. We don't want to reach there. We have to balance our life along with the responsibilities that we're handling. So the first thing I would say is let go of that mindset. The second thing that I would say is ask for help where it's possible. Of course, it's wonderful if you see that people should already understand what they should do and where they should pitch in and things like that. But if they are not doing it, I would say that please ask for that help where you need. The third thing I'd say is delegate some tasks, give some things to people to do, and equip them in being able to do it. For example, if you ask your husband, ek chai bana do, and then you'd say, nahi, nahi, inki chai to achhi nahi hoti, main khud hi bana leti hu. Equip them, tell him, what kind of tea do you like, and then trust, and then get that done. That will also help a little in being able to set those expectations for yourself. In addition, try and also set some very healthy boundaries between your work and your family life, where you can understand that itne baje ke baad main report to work nahi kar sakti, ya Sundays ko itne hours maybe I still need to put in for work because I couldn't do as much as I needed to do during the week. So set those boundaries for yourself and have a very clear communication going with your manager as well as with the stakeholders in your own family. So whether you're living in a joint family or a nuclear family, communicate with people. What are the challenges that you're having, and what kind of things will make your life easier, and what is it that they can do to help you. So try and doing that and ask for help shamelessly and with a lot of pride that I can't do everything on my own and I need everyone to work together as a system, and see how that works. Navlax is also asking something very similar to what we talked about, where she's feeling that I feel that I have 5 jobs and I'm busy the whole day. What to do? I completely agree. Not just 5 jobs. I'm sure you feel like you have 100 jobs, and it just doesn't end, right? But at the end of the day, you still have 24 hours and you still have yourself. So you need to see how can you efficiently do some things which need to be done without aspiring to be perfect all the time with everything that you're doing. And by lowering those expectations of being perfect in everything, you can create more time for yourself. And while there are so many things to be done, you may also need to choose some priority areas, that I probably can't do everything every day, but let me try to do the most important things every day. And while you're doing that, and you're constantly giving and you're constantly present for other people as well as for the tasks that need your attention, try and also practice some element of self compassion. And self compassion here means to be able to give yourself that slack, that I'm doing fine, I'm okay, and giving yourself some appreciation which helps you sustain and get more energy to do more things again tomorrow. So take that rest. And sometimes a good night's rest is something which is so underestimated, but it can really help you recharge yourself and be very effective in handling so many other things and making good decisions through the next day. I hope that helps you. um some more questions on how work has increased. Any useful tips on um, exercise to keep calm and handle everything? I think the first thing, the fact that you're asking for these tips and you're looking at staying calm is great. But again, in the same breath, I would say that while staying calm is important, maybe we don't need to aspire that I have to handle everything, but I need to begin by first handling myself. So something that works very well for me, as well as something that I've seen works with a lot of clients that I work with, is having a routine or an expected pattern of the day, as well as having a morning and night ritual. इसका मतलब ये है that we have something very predictable, to do as the first thing we do in the morning and as the last thing we do at night. और इस मॉर्निंग और नाइट रिचुअल को सेट करने से ये फायदा होता है दैट आपके माइंड को एक क्यू मिल जाता है, जिसे हम साइकोलॉजिकल सेग भी बोलते हैं। उसका मतलब है कि माइंड को एक क्यू मिलता है कि अब मेरा दिन शुरू हो रहा है, नाउ आई हैव टू गियर अप एंड दीज आर द थिंग्स आई हैव टू डू। और रात को एक क्यू दोबारा मिलता है कि ओके, इट्स टाइम टू रैप अप, वाइंड डाउन एंड get on with other things. So some things could be just a morning mein, the first thing I do is have a cup of chai, or the last thing you do is put some cream on your feet or brush your teeth. It could be something like this. The second thing is have a routine, a little more predictable pattern to your day. Have fixed places to do some things. For example, if you're doing your office work, you have a particular designated area in the house, so that mentally okay, now I'm going into work and now I'm stepping out of work. So try and keep these little routine factors going. Also try and make a to-do list for yourself, and you can prioritize that which are the urgent and important things that you need to do today. Often you will find yourself that you get busy in doing the non-urgent and the non-important things, because they could be more time consuming or they could be more enjoyable. But prioritizing yourself and segregating them into what is the most urgent thing to do and what is the most important thing to do will also help you take care of certain things and tick them off your list of things to do. In addition to this, you can practice some amount of deep breathing exercises. There are some quick relaxation videos available online as well. You can speak with a counselor around you, to get some ideas on practicing focused guided meditation, deep breathing, which can also help you feel calm. एक और चीज जो मुझे बहुत अच्छी लगती है टू स्टे काम इज थोड़ी देर फोन ऑफ करके गार्डन में या बालकनी में नेचर गेजिंग करना with a glass of warm water. And that also feels, even though 2 minutes lagte hain, it's quite relaxing. There's a lot of study that says that even if you spend at least 2 to 3 minutes just looking at nature, which could be a tree outside your house or tending to your garden, it really helps in improving your mental health and well-being. So try and give that a shot. Any special tips to work in this pandemic? Work from home becomes very frustrating. I completely agree with you. Work from home की वजह से boundaries बहुत blur हो जाती हैं. That work कब शुरू होता है और कब खत्म होता है, पता ही नहीं चलता, because the whole day sometimes you think you're working, the whole evening you're working. And in addition to that, there are so many other factors like अकेले रहना, the fun that we used to have in office, that's kind of reduced. The fatigue that we feel by constantly being on back-to-back video calls and meetings, becomes very difficult. So some things which you can do to help yourself, again, are some things that I've talked about in terms of boundaries and expectation settings, healthy communication with your manager, as well as setting those right expectations from yourself. Setting up a dedicated workstation at home, which is again ergonomic, can be something that you do. In addition to this, pre-planning, especially for those who have vulnerable people to take care of, like elders or children, can also help. So pre-planning could mean pre-planning the meals. It could mean how the others will be engaged while you're working. It could also mean designating couple of hours of co-parenting during the day, that you understand that this is my free time and it's not like I'm only going to be working or doing something or the other, but I have no time to rest and rejuvenate myself. Something else that also helps is building some safe circles. So connecting with your colleagues or your friends, and sometimes just releasing all the pent up frustration that you have, and hearing what the other person's story is also, because बहुत बार ऐसा लगता है हमें कि ये सिर्फ मेरे साथ हो रहा है या ये सिर्फ मेरी स्टोरी है, या मैं क्यों नहीं इसे बेटर हैंडल कर पा रही. लेकिन जब हम सेफली कुछ और फ्रेंड्स फैमिली से भी बात करते हैं और हमें लगता है कि यस एवरीवन इज ट्राइंग टू डू देयर बेस्ट, एवरीवन इज स्ट्रगलिंग, वी कैन लर्न फ्रॉम ईच अदर आल्सो, and that helps. That's something which I try to do myself also. You can also try and do some find creative ways to solve problems. जरूरी नहीं है कि एक चीज को उसी जिस तरह से हमेशा करते हुए आए हैं उसी तरह से हम आगे चलते रहें, बट यू कैन काइंड ऑफ फाइंड दैट अच्छा मैं इस प्रॉब्लम को अलग तरह से कैसे कर सकती हूँ. कैन आई क्रिएट अ स्मॉल टीम दैट हेल्प्स मी do something? Can I delegate more responsibly so that everything doesn't come down on me? Try and use some of these activities and see if it helps you. Durga is asking, how do I manage my everyday life? It's a very broad question, Durga. I'm sure you're struggling with some specific aspects of managing your everyday life, but aspects like keeping a routine as well as identifying that what makes you feel satisfied at the end of the day, I think is very important. Because बहुत बार ऐसा लगता है कि हम पूरे दिन काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन at the end of the day we feel a lot of frustration or a level of emptiness, that कुछ भी नहीं हुआ आज, या आज का दिन भी waste हो गया. और उसकी वजह से ये फीलिंग जो बिल्डअप होती रहती है कि मजा नहीं आ रहा लाइफ में, कैन लीड टू क्रॉनिक स्ट्रेस. So try and understand कि क्या करके मुझे अच्छा लगता है. What does a good day look like for me? What does a productive day look like for me? And try and work backwards from there. Rebecca is asking, how do we keep the kids busy without getting them addicted to the mobile or television? It's a very commonly asked question, Rebecca, and I can totally empathize. As a mother myself, as well as so many young parents around who often have to just give in to the mobile and the TV watching addiction. Because that's the only way we can focus on the work. Otherwise, it really depends upon the age group of children that you are parenting right now. Of course, a little older children can be engaged in some more, individual activities, for example, reading or hobbies or learning or, online socializing or homework, or doing some parts of the home chores, things like that. But for little younger children, who need a more constant supervision where, if you have to be present mentally and physically in, a work task, then a TV and a mobile does turn out to be one of the solutions that we find ourselves going to. First, understand that this is temporary, and it's probably something that you need to do when nothing else is possible. Of course, it's not your first option, but it can be that last resort. The second is that if you're giving it to them during these periods where you don't have anything else that you can engage them in, try that the rest of the day you are engaging them with other things. The third thing is that when we look at TV and mobile addiction, we tend to think that everything is wrong, any use is bad use. But try and see that how there can be some more aspect of interactive learning based use where it can be a little better than just gazing at the screen and meaninglessly watching videos. And that could be a defining factor about whether it's good or bad, and engaging with them rather than passively being absorbed in it to the point that their social skills start getting impacted. So try and look at it from that perspective. It's very interesting to see so many questions coming up, and I'm sure you all are kind of absorbing different things from each other's questions and answers as well. So I do kind of encourage you all to kind of also share, while you're asking questions, share some things which are working for you, so that maybe others can also learn and use some of the strategies that have worked for you, for themselves as well. So look forward to hearing some comments as well in addition to the questions. So the next question is by Pooja, and she's asking, I spend so long at work that my close relationship suffers. Pooja, I really empathize with what you're saying, and you may feel at some points that this is so meaningless. Why am I even working when at the end of the day I'm not even getting to spend that that good time with my family, that I'm emotionally present for children if you have, or partners if you have, or parents if you're living with them, and you can constantly feel scraped off, that there's nothing left inside that I can give to them. When quantity isn't possible, try and aspire for quality. So when I say that aspire for quality, it means that during your workday, can you take out, maybe even if you have to put some reminders or alarms, just little messages that you can probably send to people, so that they know that you're still aware of what's happening in their life. Or could you take out some little moments for yourself where you are really rejuvenating yourself. And also, if you can have a good communication with these close relationships of yours, so that there are no misunderstandings that creep in, where they may think that अरे पूजा तो ignore कर रही है, या पूजा तो बहुत busy हो गई है. So keeping that constant communication going, where instead of wanting to hide or keep all the stress to ourselves, we can also open up where we are struggling, and where we can take some help from others also. And you'll be very surprised to see that actually these close relationships who are waiting for our time, or who are waiting to be loved by us, when they hear that we are struggling, and if they can help us, they actually feel very good. And that's a little inside tip as a psychologist that I can give you, that when we feel that we can contribute to another person's well-being, when we can be helpful, when we are useful, it boosts the quality of relationship, and it actually keeps people together. So the very thing that you're trying to move away from may actually help you make that relationship come closer. And something I tell a lot of my clients who are working very long and busy hours is that often we feel that काम कभी खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा. And I can relate with that feeling, that जब तक laptop खुला रहता है काम चलता रहता है. And there are so many times when your lunches and your dinners are working lunches and working dinners. But try and see that could there be that one day, one lunch or one dinner or one evening where I'm choosing home, or where I'm choosing my relationship, my life. And speak with your managers at work and let them know the toll that it's taking on you personally and professionally, and try and find a mid ground, rather than going on working to a point where you'll just snap. So try and break it at the right time as well. Yes, and then I think I've answered your question as well, where you feel that the days are too short and there's so many things that you should do and that you would need to do. And again, I think I'd say go back to the whole urgent important matrix, as well as priority setting. And at the end of the day, you have to set realistic expectations from yourself. You are just one person, but you can increase the number of arms and legs that you work with by delegating tasks to people, and for us by asking for help as well. Rachita is asking that I procrastinate often and I'm unable to give 100% to my work. Rachita, it seems to me, I may be wrong. I'm just, reading one sentence, but it seems to me that, you're exhausted, and, when you are so tired, both emotionally, physically, the tendency or to be able to give your 100%, not just to work, but to yourself or even to your personal relationships comes down, because you've kind of burnt out your emotional reserves, and in that state you tend to want to procrastinate a lot. You just feel kal karenge, dekha jayega, what's the big deal. You'll experience things like that. So I would say, instead of looking at boosting your performance right now in reaching 100%, I would say spend some time to rejuvenate yourself. Ask yourself, आज मुझे क्या करने का मन कर रहा है, क्या मैं आज एक दिन छुट्टी ले सकती हूँ, इस छुट्टी को मैं कैसे प्रोडक्टिवली इंजॉय कर सकती हूँ, क्या करके मैं रिफ्रेश हो जाऊंगी आज, क्या वो छोटी-छोटी चीज़ें हैं जो मैं अपनी टू डू लिस्ट से स्ट्राइक ऑफ कर सकती हूँ, जिससे मुझे थोड़ी-सी ज़्यादा एनर्जी मिलेगी, जिससे मुझे थोड़ी और मोटिवेशन मिलेगी। उम, किस तरह की रियलिस्टिक एक्सपेक्टेशंस मैं अपने आप से सेट कर सकती हूँ? क्या जब मैं कुछ कंप्लीट करती हूँ उसके बाद मुझे जो हैप्पीनेस मिलती है, क्या दैट कैन बी यूज्ड एज़ अ मोटिवेटर टू डू थिंग्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी, राइट नाउ? A lot of times, when we make a to-do list, we make, things which are going to take a lot of time, things which are difficult, things which are easy. I would suggest that when you're already feeling so exhausted and burnt out, instead of looking at beginning with the most difficult task, begin with the smallest and simplest task. When you strike that off, you feel that yes, you can do the next thing as well. Another thing you can do when you feel like procrastinating those big or hard things is that you break it down into small, small units. And instead of looking at that whole task as something so big that, इतना बड़ा कुछ करने के लिए मुझे इतनी सारी एनर्जी चाहिए होगी, उसकी जगह जब आप एक बड़े टास्क को छोटे-छोटे टुकड़ों में तोड़ लेते हैं, तो उस छोटे टुकड़े को करने के लिए आपको थोड़ी छोटी एनर्जी चाहिए होती है, जो हम यूजुअली अपने अंदर से क्रिएट कर पाते हैं। सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आपके लिए एक बहुत बड़ा टास्क है कि मुझे एक प्रपोजल सबमिट करना है एट वर्क, तो उसको इंस्टेड ऑफ लुकिंग एट दैट एज दिस बिग थिंग व्हिच आई नीड टू फाइंड सो मेनी थिंग्स अबाउट, ब्रेक इट डाउन इनटू स्मॉल थिंग्स कि सबसे पहली चीज मुझे क्या करनी है। सबसे पहली चीज मुझे एक वर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट बनानी है, ओके लेट मी डू दिस मच। सेकंड छोटी सी चीज मुझे क्या करनी है कि मुझे टीम मेंबर से मिलकर एक सोल्यूशन क्रिएट करना है, ओके लेट मी डू जस्ट दैट मच। And धीरे धीरे, like how you weave a thread through beads, connect these little chunks of your work, and you'll see that you're able to do the big task without at once expending so much of energy of your own. Yeah. Madhu is saying that I mostly feel unproductive and guilty if I do nothing and relax. Madhu, I'm sure you're not relaxing 24/7, for 1 month at a stretch. So if you think that, you're again feeling so burnt out and exhausted and you just need to relax, then, just let your body do that. A lot of times we listen to our mind, we listen to people around us, we listen to so many, comments, we listen to so much of information, but we don't listen to our body. And sometimes we are forced to listen to our body when we have a stress injury, like a back pain which doesn't go away and we have to stay in bed, or a headache which doesn't let us look at our mobile screens anymore. So instead of reaching that space, I would say listen to your body. And if it is telling you that you need to slow down for a little bit before you can pick up steam, then try and see that that relaxation is productive. Okay. And that is something which may help you break through those mindsets that we go with, that itna sara kaam karne ko bacha hai, ghar pura ganda bacha hua hai, itna unopened mails pade hue hain, but look at me, I'm just lying here like a sloth. So try and see that listening to your body and responding to it as well is also something which is productive, if that's what it needs to be. um, Hi Mohit, you're asking that I ignore problems because I think they will gradually fade away. Yeah, that is one of the coping styles. Sometimes we do say that distraction or temporary denial is important when the problem is very emotionally arousing. But you and I and everyone knows better that if we just sit over problems, they only become bigger. It's like a mobile phone का bill जो हम सोचते हैं अच्छा कल देंगे, but eventually अगर आप उसे डेट तक नहीं देते, you still have to pay the bill, and you also have to pay a little penalty, which is something which happens in life also, that problems, if not addressed in the right time, will just become bigger, and we'll still have to solve them, but at greater costs. So, try and understand what about this problem is making you scared. What about this problem makes you feel I can't handle it? And try and ask yourself a question that अगर मैं कल सुबह उठता हूँ और एक fairy आती है, magical कुछ होता है, what is that thing that I would want? And that will give you a very clear answer about what solution looks like for you. And instead of focusing on the problem and seeing that how big it is for you and what you need to do, try and look at the solution and see that what can you do to make it possible. And with that change in mindset and change in the way of approaching the problem, you may get more courage to address it and to attack it, rather than want to sleep over it. But sometimes sleeping over it is also a solution. Yeah, but not every day. Hi Nikita, you saying you feel tired throughout the day. There could again be multiple reasons why you feel this fatigue and tiredness. I usually like to look at this as a biopsychosocial answer. So when I say bio, it means that to just check up your body, that, are you okay on your vitamins and your minerals, and, is the fatigue happening because of any of those imbalances? So, just a check with a GP probably is something I would recommend. When I talk about the psycho and the social aspects, it means that a lot of fatigue also comes from psychological fatigue or the emotional distress that we feel. Sometimes there are these lingering stressors, that are there, and when they're not addressed in time, they build up and they sap us out of all our energy, and we feel very exhausted. So try and see, where are those psychological leaks that are happening. And the third is the social aspect, which is when we feel, or when we are spending too much time isolated, just with our own selves, our own thoughts, our own life. There is no new stimulation that comes in, and that can sometimes exhaust us as well. So try and see that that's something which will help you. I'll take just one last question, and that's from Bhavna. What advice do you have for working moms? I'm so glad, Bhavna, you've asked this question, because this will really help me also wrap up the session with all the little things that we've talked about. And the first thing that I would tell all the women that I meet, and now through my personal experience of myself being a working mom, is the first thing I would say is appreciate yourself. What you're doing is not easy. What you're doing is something you've never done before. No one prepared you for this, and yet you've taken it up as a challenge, to do something that matters to you in terms of your profession, your own career development, as well as something that you've grown to understand that it matters to you, which is your role as a mother. And I think only women can really bring out their best foot forward and attempt to strike 100% balance, so to say. So the first thing I'd say is really appreciate yourself, really acknowledge yourself, even if no one else is doing that for you. The second thing is that bust those myths that you are carrying, that you need to be 100% super excellent, above average, extraordinary in the things that you do. You're also a regular human who's trying their best to cope amidst a crisis. So cut yourself some slack and be realistic in the kind of expectations you're setting for yourself. The third thing I would say is set those healthy boundaries between you and others and their comments. Boundaries between your work life and your family life. Boundaries between you as an individual as well as you as a mother, so that you can keep that semblance of you, your life, your aspirations alive as well. Fourth, I would say take help where needed. Reach out to people, whether it's at work, whether it's your manager, your colleagues, your friends, your family, your partner, sometimes even your children, and let them know what is it that you're going through, what is it that you need from them. And fifth, trust them, delegate these responsibilities to them, and make a little bit of time for yourself in a way that makes it comfortable for you. The way it translates into time spent with yourself, and that is very important, to constantly try to rejuvenate, to reconnect with yourself, and give yourself that rest and assurance that's needed to again start tomorrow. Yeah, so on that note, I would like to close today's session. Thank you so much for joining in and for asking your wonderful questions, which helped our discussion go forward. And I truly hope that this was a meaningful session for you, and each one of us is walking away with at least one takeaway. And I'm happy to follow up on any questions or comments later as well. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week ahead. Bye bye.